I'm Phyllis. My pronouns are she and her. I'm talking about a favorite topic of mine today. My topic is friendship, Emerson, community building. We're going to weave those together. If I were a character in a graphic novel, I'm sure I'd be caricatured as Spider-Woman, weaving, spinning my web of connections. And do you know that Ralph Waldo Emerson, in his essay on friendship, referred to the web? How many here are in Zoom are familiar with Ralph Waldo Emerson? That's pretty darn good. It has been years since I've renewed my acquaintance with the early Unitarians, even though in this 200, actually more than 200-year-old congregation, 227, we have constant reminders of our heritage. Not to mention that First Unitarian congregation, the first in the U.S., was founded a few years before Emerson's birth. He was born in 1803, and our congregation in 1796. You're becoming aware, I hope, that this service aims to wrap these topics of friendship, community building, and Emerson together. Our readings, our music, our blessing, all are aimed at guiding us into a sense of community. Lauren was my guide here. Unlike my infrequent meditations on the Unitarians of the 19th century, I think and talk about friendship and friends a lot. I have always had many friends, and I took pride in keeping friends and not losing friends. Whether they moved across the country or across the seas, I kept connections. I do keep connections. But as I got older, the hard truth overwhelmed me year after year. I couldn't hold on to every dear friend in the face of death or sometimes dementia. I'm sure we all have a personal lost story of a friend. Every day that goes by, I wish for my friend Sean, who stood by me in one of the worst periods of my life, and who also made some of the best times happen, including annual spiritual retreats that we co-led for women over more than a decade. The song Give Yourself to Love today is chosen for Sean. So this question, can I make new friends at my age? What are true friends? When I decided to move into a retirement community 4 years ago, I had to confront my concept of friendship. I didn't know a soul at Simpson House. There are 3 of them who came to hear me this morning. Who would be my friends? Can I speed up the process? As I meditated on the concept of friendship and talked to people about their ideas, I realized my view may be too narrow. Did I think the only true friends were ones I've known for decades, bonded with over child raising or church projects or political campaigns? So for this talk, I decided to revisit Ralph Waldo Emerson. Did he have answers in his famous essay on friendship? Some of his most famous maxims have definitely lasted centuries, such as, the only way to have a friend is to be one, our friends trust, or life is a journey, not a destination. Did you know that was Emerson? Yes, it was interesting, provocative, enlightening to delve into stories of Emerson's long life. Emerson was a Unitarian minister and the son of one, but he resigned from the ministry in his early 30s to pursue a career in writing and speaking. Many more people probably know him as a founder of transcendentalism than as a Unitarian minister. Before I was a UU, that's how I knew him, a poet, an essayist, a transcendentalist. As Fred Tipson, my music guide today, and I agreed, it's easier to read commentaries on Emerson by scholars of Emerson than it is to read Emerson. Even his friends agreed. He wasn't easy to read. His essays were included in English lit courses in my day. I don't know if that's still true. But I would love to have a video of those classes that I was in. How is it that 18-year-old Phil Green from a tiny Texas town was so impressed that I've always had some memory of that essay on friendship, even though at that time I had no knowledge of a Unitarian denomination? Emerson wrestled with the concept of friendship. The backstory on the friendship essay was enlightening to me. According to one of the Emerson scholars who closely analyzed Emerson's letters to friends, much of the ideas expressed in the friendship essay first appeared in his letters to Margaret Fuller, to Thomas Carlyle, and others in his circle. The scholar, whose name is John Bard McNulty, credits Margaret Fuller, another well-known Unitarian and transcendentalist, for being the major influence on the essay, in part by chiding Emerson for sometimes lacking warmth, which he admits. When you read the list of people that Emerson met, it seems to include the majority of famous literary figures of the 19th century. His life spanned 3/4 of our country's first full century. In 1845, he refused to speak at New Bedford Lyceum when he learned that blacks were excluded from membership. By the way, that was the same year, 1845, that he gave his friend Thoreau permission to build a hut on Emerson's property on Walden Pond. And, just to me, that was the year after he wrote in opposition to Texas being admitted into the Union and against the war with Mexico. Emerson was an ardent abolitionist. He heard John Brown speak in Concord in 1857 and praised it. He lauded the Emancipation Proclamation. He delivered many anti-slavery speeches, including one in Philadelphia in 1855. It's too easy for me to stray into stories about Emerson and his friends. Historians are still writing about Emerson. I ended up these past few weeks buying John Buren. John Buren is a well-known Unitarian to many of us, minister and historian. And in 2020, just a few years ago, he bought out a new book on the Transcendentalists, which I bought. Barry Matthews, in 2021, published Emerson, the Sage of Concord, about Emerson and spirituality. I bought that one. I was tempted to buy another new book by Brian Wilson, who's a professor of comparative religion, called The California Days of Ralph Waldo Emerson. And in the spring of 1871, Emerson boarded a train in Concord, bound for a month-and-a-half-long tour of California, during which time he met John Muir and also Brigham Young. So historians are still writing about Emerson. Maybe we can have an adult ed course on the Transcendentalist or Emerson, because today, Emerson was really intended as my launch pad for my favorite topic of community building and friendship, and how our community is strengthened when our web of connection is strong. So, why do I need Ralph Waldo Emerson to tell me about friends? He was 37 when he published that essay. I have 50 years of friendships to experience over him. So although it's almost 200 years later, Phyllis Belk is writing her own essay on friendship. I know about friends. You can trust me when I tell you that yes, you can make new friends at every stage of life. It does take trust and a mutual wish to be friends, intentionality. In his essay, Emerson, 200 years ago, made reference to a web of friends. This was well before the Unitarian Universalists adopted as a principle the web of interdependence. So when I decided on this topic for a summer service, it was because I was pondering the art of making new church friends on Zoom and wondering, in fact, Alex and Sherry, I think I met on Zoom, and other people here, and wondering if at this late stage of life, I can make true friends in a community where I knew no one before I moved in. But once this topic was set on the church calendar, I seemed to see articles and podcasts everywhere about friendship and the importance of friends to health, mental health, emotional health, physical health. Everyone who learned about my topic wanted to talk about it. I had one of the best conversations in recent years with my 60-year-old son, who had much to offer on his experience with friendships. My 3 sons all have extensive networks of friends, contrary to some beliefs about male friendships. So we have included readings today and music today about building community and about friends. The reading that Lauren just gave you was from John O'Donohue's book, Anam Cara. Anam Cara in the Celtic world is soul friend. Emerson and O'Donohue use the word love in describing friendships. I usually say dear friend, but I mean love. And that's why I chose the song Give Yourself to Love, because it means something special. John O'Donohue warns against trying to dissect your friendship with another, but I confess to analyzing, not dissecting, some of my friendships, thinking about the ways to bond. There's my friend of 60 years, Jody, who has known my children since their birth, and I have known hers. Debbie, where are you, Debbie? Who has been my rock friend during cancer, along with Heather and Luana and Ann and others in this room. And there's Louise, my friend who's older than me, who with her late husband were part of a social circle that knew and loved my husband and survived tough couple times and now navigates old age with me. I have younger friends like Amy, who has shared momentous life changes. Jake, my young friend who comes to see me. My advice to people is have younger friends, yes. So I have men friends, a true soul friends among men, but I do so love the comfort of my women friends. Maybe that's generational. I think about whether there are types of friends, people I only see occasionally, but you're always so glad to see them. There's a warm feeling when that happens. Maybe you sat next to them and just had a connection at some event and don't see them for another year. But then you immediately say, oh, please, let's sit together. And the other person says, oh, yes, with enthusiasm. Is this just an acquaintance? Can't there be another word? But here's your opportunity at a First Unitarian event to say, let's get together soon. Pull up your calendar. My friend Sean, she would always pull up her calendar. Let's make a date right now. We have a lead start in making friends through church. The question, what brought you here today? Or in a small group where sharing your spiritual journey is the topic, immediately you can move 3 or 4 steps ahead in forming a friendship. So how about the friends that I've made in my last 3.5 years at Simpson House? Having the pandemic and the quarantine was bonding. Caring for neighbors in sad times, playing games, taking art classes, protesting management occasionally. We've been through 3.5 years when making connections was challenging. But a happy learning in old age is that the only true friends are not just those we've known for many years, are bonded with through shared experiences. I've seen how the shared experiences can be ones that we lived in our separate lives, but we can share now and feel a bonding. So from this vantage, I offer my experience. It's never too late to make new true friends. At Simpson House, we have our ways of deepening friendships, which apply to anybody, anywhere. Look for value-laden opportunities. At Simpson House, we have a book group, a spiritual growth group, a writer's group, a dream group, where trust can be established in a few sessions when participants become vulnerable to each other. That's what Emerson said, friends trust. Every month we have a sharing circle on a Sunday afternoon, open to all, where we share stories from our lives to a simple prompt. Twice in the past 2 years, friendship was the prompt. Friends were made as we shared stories of our lives. Maybe we hadn't experienced a family crisis in each other's company, but we'd had the same situation occur. We do understand each other's pain or joy or frustration. Yes, it takes trust, openness, and intentionality. I want to be your friend. So, one last word that just resonated with me, and it was posted by Ann Slater on her Facebook page. And it was from Brene Brown, a psychologist. And she was offering advice to parents whose adolescent is wrestling with friendship. Maybe mean girls, I don't know. And Brene Brown says to them, say to your child, your spirit is like a candle flame. Friends help keep your flame bright, aglow. Beware of persons who are candle blower outers. So this reminded me, when we were in the sanctuary in our regular church year, we start service with all ages present on many Sundays. And then after the story for all ages, we sang the children off to their religious ed classes with what tune? This little light of mine, this little light of mine. Yes. So let's think about friends and friendship as the building blocks of community at First Church, as encouraging the glow of all our spirit candles. The result will be a stronger web, and this strength will make us more effective as allies for love and justice in the world. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Reverend Hannah Capaldi.
And I'm Reverend Abby Tennis. We are the ministers at the First Unitarian Church of Philadelphia, where our mission is to awaken love and justice in our lives and in the world.
We're so grateful that you watched, and we hope that the sermon connected with your soul.
We also want to invite you to join us for a live worship service every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You can always find the link to that service on our website at www.philauu.org. In these services, you'll hear words like you've just heard, and you also get a chance to greet one another, pray together, sing together, and we even hold a virtual coffee hour after services to get a chance to greet some new and old friends.
If you want to support the mission of this community and you feel moved to give, you can do so by going to the website that Reverend Abby just mentioned. You can find that link below, or you can text 215-709-5095 and follow the prompts to give.
If someone in your life needs to hear these words today, we encourage you to share this video. And again, thank you so much for watching.
We hope to see you soon.